Good morning, 4303. Today for reading workshop, we're also going to be using chapter 6 from the social studies read aloud. Okay, it's called The Quarrel with Britain Begins. But before we get to chapter 6, I want to focus on what we need to do as we read. Okay, so today I want to teach you that once researchers construct a big picture of the topic, our topic is leading up to the American Revolution, you have to have a big picture of that. Because you've been synthesizing facts, you also record the drama of history. Often specific details will dramatize the point of view of real people in history. So I'm going to repeat your teaching point. Today I want to teach you that once researchers construct a big picture of the topic by synthesizing the facts, they also record the drama of history. Often specific details will dramatize the point of view of real people in history. So we have to be looking out for specific details. And I'm going to show you how. Okay? So first, I need to keep in mind my big picture. Okay? What's happening leading up to the American Revolution. Over here, England is trying to rule what's going on over here in the colonies. Okay? They're saying, we're in charge. And the colonists are saying, you're not the boss of us. That's sort of the big picture. There's a lot of tension between England and the colonists. Now, we need to record the drama by looking for details. So chapter 6, The Quarrel with Britain Begins. Colonists claim new land. What's the point of winning land in a war if you're not even allowed to use it? Even before the French and Indian War, some colonists had moved onto the lands west of the Appalachian Mountains. The colonists wanted to move onto the land in the Ohio River Valley and set up farms. I'm on page 40. Now that France had given up its claim to land in the Ohio River Valley and beyond, many colonists looked forward to using the land themselves. The colonists are looking forward to using the land. They're probably really happy. Yay, finally we have this land. The British government saw the matter differently. Oh, so if those people are really happy, the British government probably pretty mad. Many groups of Native Americans lived on that land. Some of them had fought with the British in the war and against France. Having just ended one war with France, the British did not want to start a new one with the Native Americans. They would surely have one, though, if colonists kept pushing onto Native American lands. In fact, one conflict did break out among the Native Americans, settlers and British soldiers. Oh, so I'm trying to picture the Native Americans and the British soldiers. They're in a conflict. This conflict was called Pontiac's War. During this rebellion, Native Americans in the Great Lakes area tried to drive settlers off their land. And I'm trying to picture this drama, right? This is over 300 years ago, so they're not actually driving them off the land, but they're near the Great Lakes, they're near the water, and the Native Americans are trying to drive them off the land, meaning like get them away, shoo them away. I wonder if they were running after them or throwing things at them. How would they get them off their land? Great Britain believed that it would be best to keep colonists away from Native American lands for now at least. On a map of North America, the British King, George III, drew a line running along the Appalachian Mountains from New York all the way south to Georgia. So I'm picturing a map right in front of me. King George is drawing a line right down the middle from the Appalachian Mountains to New York. He then issued a proclamation. Until further notice, no more colonists were allowed to settle west of that line. So the line he drew was probably right over here. And he's saying all the way on this side of the United States, no one could settle there. Well, so he must be mad. He's saying too many people are taking that land. Nobody else can go further until we figured out what to do. The proclamation of 1763 angered the colonists. They're saying, well, how come we can look at all this land, but we can't explore that other land? That's not fair. They had not fought the French to win land for Native Americans. They expected to keep it for themselves. Now their own king was telling them they couldn't settle there. The king also said that thousands of British soldiers would stay along the frontier to enforce the proclamation. Ooh, so I'm picturing those British soldiers in their red coats staying along the frontier by the water, making sure that no one is going past that line that the king drew. Wow, so he means business if he's putting soldiers up. The presence of British soldiers meant colonists couldn't move up west of George III's line. 41. It says the Native Americans did not want the colonists to move onto their land. This subheading here says the quarrel grows. Ooh, so I'm going to maybe predict that there's some war here, some other drama. People are going to be mad, angry, and saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. Let's see. Keeping in mind my big picture, right? This is between the colonists and England. So the quarrel grows. Soon the colonists had an even bigger disagreement with Great Britain. Ooh. This new quarrel also grew from a war with France. Britain had spent a lot of money to win the French and Indian War. In fact, it spent more money than the British government really had. The government had borrowed what it needed to pay for the war. Now it had to pay back its borrowed money. It also needed to pay for the soldiers on the North American frontier. So Britain lost all this money. And now they have soldiers that they have to pay in the colonies. And they have to make all that money back. So if the quarrel is growing, I'm wondering if England is going to try to get all this money they need from the colonies. Because what else would cause a quarrel or a problem for them? Where was this money going to come from? Parliament thought, the British thought the colonists should pay. Maybe not all of the money, but certainly a fair share. That's a good amount. The colonists had been helped by Britain's victory over France. They should help pay for it. First, Parliament said the colonists needed to start paying the taxes they should have been paying all along. So the government is saying, you have been supposed to be paying these taxes from the beginning. You should start paying now. For example, colonists were supposed to pay taxes on certain imported goods. That's goods brought into the country. Instead, they had been smuggling, bringing in the goods secretly to avoid the tax collectors. Ooh, so people are doing things secretively. Sounds bad. Because they don't want to pay the taxes. Wow. The British government sent more officials to the colonies to make sure the colonists pay their taxes. Boy, that does sound pretty dramatic. They had people there already, and now they're sending more officials there, not only so people can't move west of this line on the land, they're also sending soldiers over so these people pay their taxes. So now they can't move here, and they can't sneak goods in overnight. They must be getting really mad. The officials were especially interested in new taxes on sugar and molasses. New taxes. So that means in addition to the taxes they already had, they're going to start taxing more things in the colonies. Just another reason for the colonists to get mad. These officials could enter and search colonists' homes and businesses without the owner's permission. They could search for smuggled goods or anything else that showed the colonists had broken the law. Remember the rights of Englishmen? One of those rights that the government officials could not just search a home or business whenever they felt like it. How could the British government take this right away from the colonists? Parliament had found another way to make the colonists pay. This is sounding really dramatic. When the French and Indian War had ended, there were thousands of British soldiers in the colonies. The British government wanted to keep them there. Instead of bringing them back after the war, they needed a place for all these soldiers to stay. To help pay for this, Parliament passed the Quartering Act. The act required colonial governments to supply quarters, or places to live, for the British soldiers. The colonists did not like the Quartering Act. Why did the British government want to keep the soldiers in the colonies? If it was for colonist protection, whom were they being protected from? So the colonists over here are saying, why do you need to keep the soldiers here? We don't need protection from anyone. The war is already over. Were the soldiers staying in colonies just to make sure the colonists obeyed the British laws, even the unfair ones? Let's pause for a minute and think. Right, this is the Atlantic Ocean. We're here. Well, we're all the way up here. England's all the way over here. Do you think they have any business ruling the people all the way over here when they're not even there? Do you think the king should be making rules for the people living here and trying to start a new life? Is that fair to have the British soldiers there? What do you think? It says on the picture on page 43, many colonists did not like having to quarter British soldiers in their homes. So, when you read or reread this chapter, remember to record the drama of the history. usually tells you about the points of view. Well, the points of view of the colonists are they're starting to feel aggravated and angry, okay, by all the taxes and all the soldiers. England is probably happy that they're getting their money. So when you pay attention to the drama between England and the colonists, you'll see their points of view are different from theirs. Keep in mind the big picture, what's really going on here. England's trying to be in charge, and the colonists want their freedom.